right, welcome back. It's Tuesday evening, so it's time for the Good News Game Plan with Coach Kelly.
Tim Judge, how are you, Tim Judge?
I am great, Joe. How are you?
We're doing good, Things are all positive. We're all just happy about everything. We're going on a little trip, little vacation, leaving Friday, coming back on Monday. We're visiting Joe Jr. down in Houston. We haven't seen him down there yet. He's working down there. So myself and Jill, my wife, are very happy to cruise down there and spend a weekend with him. He's going to show us all around Houston. There's going to be a big rugby game. The pro team he plays for is going to be playing another team. So it's all going to be good.
Excellent. Well, that should be fabulous.
Nothing
like a good pro-level game to get you excited, huh?
Absolutely, and a good trip down to Houston. So, well, Tim, now you've been watching.
That's a good segue to our first ever sports report. Are you ready?
I'm ready to see your first ever sports report. I'm excited about kids' sports. Are the best. Go ahead.
Here we go. This was my daughter's game today out down at Byron Beach. And this was just one play. That's what happened. Western needs a little bit more practice because I think it was Eastern that took them 11-0.
Oh, well, that's I suppose the score could be worse, but that certainly as long as they're out there playing, that's
it. That was the main thing. All those kids were having a lot of fun. It was good to see. I cheered every play that happened, no matter what was going on, whose side it was. It was just good to see people out there and having fun.
But we had lacrosse today. We had the girls lacrosse at the high school. That was good fun. But we also noticed there was a very important baseball game at Greenwich High School today. It was, we played them Trumbull in lacrosse, and they played baseball against Trumbull as well. It turned out two of the pitchers, the pitcher for the Greenwich team and the pitcher for the Trumbull team, were both heavily scouted on this game. So there was a pitcher's duel, and there was about 6 or 7 guys with radar guns pointing at the kids as they pitched. It was really cool because at halftime I snuck over to watch the baseball game, and it was a lot of hype going on there. But our girls won, and they beat Trumbull pretty good in the lacrosse. And I don't know the outcome of the baseball game, but certainly there was a whole lot of scouts there pointing radars at the kids throwing the balls. So it was all good.
Wow, that is exciting. Excellent.
Well, Tim, because you started the sports thing and the kids' sports is back again, we maybe put a little more emphasis in the next program on maybe having a few of the kids captains of the teams, maybe talk a little about the season as it's going, in addition to our guests. Speaking of guests, we got 2 great guests tonight. We got Bob Capazzo, who is both of our guests are photographers in our community, but Bob is the social photographer, where you see him at social events taking pictures of all the people who are at charity fundraisers, who are politicians in town, who are just want to be seen, and he makes them seen. So he's got that magic. Plus, also he's a local rock star. He stars in a rock band in our community. We'll talk a little about that. We have Anthony Ferraro as well, who I've known for many, many years, and we'll bring him on next. But let's start with Bob. Hopefully our connection's good with Bob. Let's bring him up. Let's see how we do, Tim.
All right. There he is.
Hey, guys.
Bob.
How are you?
Hello, Bob. How are you, sir?
We good?
Oh, we're good. There's a little delay when you first start talking, but we'll nod our head when we hear you, and you can continue about yourself. But it's all good. It's fine. Bob, I do tell you it was exciting when I first moved to town, because you've been in town for how long?
I've been in Greenwich for over 30 years.
You've been in for 30 years, because I remember early on, my wife said when we're at social events, we kind of try to meet people when we first moved here, she would always point at you and say, make sure at some given time you find your way between Bob and the wall, and maybe he might take a picture of you, and then people might get to know you. so
I had the show house at your house. Do you remember that?
Of course I remember that. But we met you before that, and we were just from party to party, whatever fundraiser, charity event, whatever thing we had going on. It was you that we wanted to make sure we got your attention. You snapped a photo of us. So we went in some website, publication, magazine, newspaper, something like that.
Yep, Greenwich Magazine.
That's right. Well, we did the show house some years ago that we had bought some old half-built house that's been in decay for many, many years. It was about 25,000 square foot, this ironstone palace that we just said, let's sort of buy this thing out of bankruptcy. We got a good deal on it, and my brother's a builder, so we brought him in, and we just started building it. And then we got in touch with the YMCA. A TV program got in touch with us about shooting some sort of design thing, and then Bob was involved in all the photos, took photos of all of it.
Yeah, it's great. It was great.
I did enjoy that. That was a good project. It was a family project because my wife Jill was the real estate broker, and I guess I just tried to be in charge of things. And I don't know, it was very confusing there at times with a TV program being shot, Bob taking pictures on the charity side of things, because I think you were there for the actual gala, and also the show house lasted a month.
Yeah, I was actually there for the gala and also to feature all the rooms in Greenwich Magazine.
That's right. That was I still have I have that the copy of Greenwich Magazine, and also we put a brochure together. It's kind of cool. You know, it was a nice little. I think I spent a year doing that. It was a good kind of fun project. So I enjoyed meeting lots of people doing that. So Bob, you moved here 30 years ago. Let's hear a little about yourself. Tell us your story.
Well, I'm a Stanford boy, but baseball was my first love. But I got into photography in high school, and then ended up working in Stanford, and then going on my own in 86, started my own business in Greenwich, and I've been here ever since.
So tell me how that professional work. I mean, you certainly go to all the events, and you're one of the best photographers as far as social events I've seen. Now Anthony does sports, so I can't, and I don't know if I've seen you do any sports photography, but I certainly say in social events you have a way about you where you can just make people feel good about when they're standing the wrong way, looking in the wrong way, or in the wrong position. Somehow you're able to, in a very classy, very supportive way, you position your subjects.
Well, thank you, Joe. I actually started with Greenwich Magazine. When I first started, Donna and Jack Moffley just started Greenwich Magazine. And I went there and asked them, if they needed a photographer, and they said, we can't afford you. And I told them, I just can't afford to work, so let's just make it work.
Perfect.
And it's still working. So, but that's how it started with Greenwich Magazine with me.
So it was Greenwich Magazine, and then I know you. While I was running for a couple of years ago, when I got involved in the local politics, I also found that you were helping out everyone's campaign by taking shots of them that they could inevitably use on campaign propaganda. And so they certainly appreciated you doing that. I know I've seen myself in a lot of your photos. So so you seem to find yourself at everything. I guess Greenwich Magazine has a invitation list. So you would go to events on that, but of course you do that on your own. You'd show up to things as well, wouldn't you?
Yeah, no, I'm involved in a lot of other things, a lot of other charities like Red Cross and Kids in Crisis, Breast Cancer Alliance. I'm involved in a lot of things.
Well, those things that you work on, I mean, it's such a nice thing. And that's kind of the theme of the show, because it is the good news program. And I thought of you when I invited you on, because I do see you involved in those things. Like I recently just joined the Red Cross board, and I'll be serving the Red Cross going forward. Totally looking forward to that, because I'm looking forward to being deployed and going to earthquake zones and things like that. So I hope to get trained up. But seeing you at these things, seeing you at these events, I knew that they weren't all professional, because a lot of them were you being just a good fella, taking photos out of the goodness of your heart. Yeah,
especially with Kids in Crisis. I donated my time with them for 20 something years. I just donated my time.
Well, that's the really good thing about this town, and so many of the people that I try to ask to come join us. We just kind of give all our time to the town, to the people in the town, to different organizations, and that just makes this place a good place to live. Because if you just drive through Greenwich, it looks nice. There's some really nice homes. I think one of the things we're very proud of is we have very few potholes. I know people complain about Route 1 sometimes, but that's the state. That's not our town. But it's the people inside of it, like you, who get involved in these charities and do things. Tell us more about what do you do, like in your day life when you're not, and we'll talk a little about your band involvement, seeing how you're a local rock star. But tell me about what happens in your days in your normal life.
Well, I mean, if I'm not shooting for the magazine or myself, I work with a local guitar dealer here, a friend of mine in Westchester, and I photographed his custom guitars. They're custom made in Maryland, a company called Joe Nags. And I photographed them for him for sale. And they're, there they go. They're top end guitars. Really,
I did when I think Tim has something to do with music because he got excited when I sent over those photos of the guitars that you're featuring here that you took pictures of. I mean, they're awesome. They're great looking guitars, and Tim said those are great. So they look good. Now tell me, are these guitars displayed here? Are they the ones that you use when you're performing, or are they different ones?
Well, the blue one that's pictured on the screen now, that's called the Reef of Life. If you zoom in on it, it has inlays of all marine life. And that's a $12,000 guitar. So I will not be playing.
So you won't be smashing your instrument playing some heavy metal stuff with that one, will you?
I do have one of their guitars, but it's not as fancy as that, but I do play it. I'm kind of their ambassador in town to get the guitars known. I was able to get Bernie Williams to get one in his hands, and he ended up getting a custom one made as well. So
nice.
They let me take these fancy guitars to show people, but I don't normally play them live.
Well, tell me, are you a lifelong rock star, or are you just something you've done as a hobby later in your life? Because you're certainly very talented in what I've seen so far. Tell me about your life as a rock star.
Well, actually, it didn't start until I was 40, Joe. I didn't start playing guitar until I was 40.
Oh, wow. We have a picture of your band up there right now that you sent over. So it was 40 that you started. Now, did you dabble in instruments before, or are you saying you were 40 when you joined the band?
Chance to play, and I was hired to photograph a custom guitar by a company in Brewster, New York. And they liked my photo so much, they asked me if I'd do more. And I asked them if I could have a guitar instead. They gave me a guitar, and then I ended up shooting a friend of mine who was a teacher, a guy named John Razzo Girardi. And he gave me lessons, and I worked on his photographs and his website, and that's how I started.
Oh, that's cool, because I really do. I've listened to your band play a number of times, and I really do like the music you guys play because you're playing from our era, and your taste in music is very similar to mine. So and you have a wide selection of things that you guys play. Tell me some of the things that you guys what genre do you prefer?
We cover everything. I mean, everything from Peggy Lee to Led Zeppelin. I mean, we cover Stones, the Police, some of the current stuff. All the stuff, Doobie Brothers. We cover a lot. We actually have 5 original songs as well.
Oh, really? Oh, that's got to be cool. Now, how often do you guys get together and practice, or do you just kind of get together and just play at locations? How do you hone your skills to have such a variety of genres that you could play?
Well, we get together, we're going to get together next week because we have 5 new songs that we're playing on station. A couple of them are 2 originals, so we're going to get together and go over those songs because we have dates coming up in June that we want to play these for. We want to recycle some of them, take some of the old ones out.
Well, Bob, tell me some of the places you're playing. I know something came across the internet just recently. I know I wrote it on my calendar where you're playing, but refresh my memory, and maybe the folks that might be watching this today, let them know where you're playing so they can come and watch.
May 30th, we're going to be up at Cobber North, up at the Griff.
That's
doing
nice.
Myself, the singer in the red dress, and the guitar player doing an acoustic trio. It's a Sunday. And then June 10th, we're at the Historical Society on the back Great Lawn. And that's June 10th at 6:30. And then June 26th, we're back up at the Cobber with the full band for my big 60th birthday party, Joe.
60. All right, good man. Oh, that'd be a good party. I do like the Historical Society gathering. I remember you played last year. I really did enjoy that. That was kind of in the middle of COVID, and everyone was kind of like keeping space, but able to get out. It was kind of like, well, we cooped up. That was right after the quarantine, the strict quarantine, and everyone was their first chance to actually get out and see each other. So I did appreciate that gathering. That was a good one.
Yeah, this will be the same. I think the number will be the same. I think 150 max is what they're going to allow. But it's a great. like a mini amphitheater because of the way the hill is. It's nice.
Oh, it's beautiful. It was a great setting. It was great. I really did enjoy going next time, and hopefully I could attend this time as well. So Bob, is there's something that you want to talk about in addition to the things we've already talked about? Because we're gonna bring Anthony on now, and he's gonna ask you a question or two. So before we say goodbye after Anthony's questions, we'll see if there's one final thing you want to conclude with. And we're looking at some of your photography work. It's very nice.
I appreciate the people I photograph. Most of the people I photograph have become friends, like yourself. So my network has grown, and my network of friends is every time I do an event, I end up becoming friends with someone. I love my job. I love both my jobs. I meet the greatest people. I've photographed U.S. presidents. I've photographed famous actors, famous athletes. I've photographed everybody. The common denominators are just people. So you just treat them just like people, and they like that.
And that, as I mentioned before, you certainly have a skill for that. There's no question. Now, Anthony, are you in the green room? Can you pop up and join us?
I'm here now.
Oh, Anthony, how are you? Welcome to the show.
I am doing good. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing good. Now, you had listened to Bob talk a little bit. You just met him in the pre-show. We do the 5-minute pre-show.
Right.
And kind of like you bring what we ask you guys to do is bring a little good news to the good news show. And the new guests kind of ask a question or two of the old guests because you got to hear them talk. You guys have that photography.
Right.
Go ahead, Anthony.
My first question to Bob is, how did you name your band Merlin? Is that your favorite wizard, or how did you come up with that name?
Actually, each band member came in with 5 names of things that we wanted to call the band. Everyone was rejected. We were outside talking. Our guitar player, Dave, says, "Oh, I got to show you this picture of Merlin, my cat." So Merlin's actually named after a rescue cat. And come to think of, coincidentally, everybody in the band has rescue animals, including our singer, who's on the board at one of the pet rescues in Westchester. So we went with Merlin. We kind of liked it.
It's nice. I like it.
Nothing to do with
Merlin tonight. Yeah, I like that.
Got that medieval sort of mystical wizard type mystique to it. It's kind of cool.
Right. I have 2 more questions for Bob. One, do you ever play outdoors anywhere? Any concerts outside, like here in town or anything?
Yeah, we have 2 coming. One at the Historical Society June 10th, and the next one at the 4th on June 26th.
Okay. All right. Now, photography-wise, I wanted to ask you, are you a Nikon guy or a Canon? I'm a Nikon person. I was just curious.
Started with Canon, but then I switched to Nikon in the film era because of their metal blades. Remember the metal blades?
Yeah.
I was going through Canon and ripping up those shutter cloths. So I switched to Nikon. I've been there ever since.
Okay. Sounds good.
Right. Well, Bob, thank you very much for coming on the show. It's really fun getting to talk to people, getting to know them a little better on the show. And because we've talked to each other a number of times over the years, but I have the opportunity to really dig into people where it's not weird, because that's what the show is about. I don't want to get too personal, I guess, in a public place, but on the show, we can get also the weird personal stuff. So thanks, Bob. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
We'll see you. We'll see you at your concert soon. See you at your show.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Anthony, how are you, my friend?
Very good, Joe. How have you been?
Oh, doing good. We've been chasing you down. You've been traveling from Florida to all these sort of places. And I'm like, Anthony, you got to come on the show because I think you could be interesting. And you said, no, I couldn't be interesting. Not at all. Didn't you say that to me?
Yes, I did. I felt bad blowing you off like 5 times once I was in, I don't know, where were we? Dominican Republic. We just got back from Aruba, so you caught me here. We have a place in Jupiter that we love to go to, and we just love Jupiter, Florida. So during the pandemic, we've been popping back and forth.
I do miss being sideline dads with you. That's kind of where we met. The years and years our kids spending all that time together, and Vincent and Joe being best buddies, following or going through the same sports together, a lot of the same sports together, because Vincent was a really a great baseball player, so he didn't join the rugby world, where Joe went in the rugby world. But those two shared the football experience all the way from the Coscob Crushers as youngsters all the way through both of them outstanding stars at Greenwich High School.
Yes, absolutely. They were 3rd graders at 8 years old. I was trying to do it, and they're both, well, Vincent will be 26 May 17th, so it's like 18 years they've been together, good friends, and still, which is great. When Joe's here, I find out he's at my house, and it's like, hey, he's a little taller. They're all grown men now, and I'm just so happy for them that they all turned out great kids.
Absolutely. And you and I would go from season to season. Football, we were kind of, I guess I was a little involved in the Crushers, but not really a experienced football coach. So I wouldn't coach his age group. I'd just help and support the other age groups. And you were always the volunteer photographer. You would take about 17,000 photos of every game, or maybe every half of every game. But basically you'd have some of the greatest shots of the kids in motion. It was good fun.
Absolutely. It was a lot of fun. And, they were together with that. And then also GBA, we coached together all those years so that our boys could play together.
All those years you getting me in trouble because GBA, you're supposed to have an even playing, and you'd always sneak in that outstanding player in for an extra quarter or something. And the other coach would come yelling at me, and I'd look at you and you just start giggling.
Okay. Like I am now.
Exactly. No, you just laugh, and I'd get in trouble, and I'd say, Anthony, you did it to me again. But it was so much fun, such fond memories, because the kids had so much fun playing in those, the GBA, in the Greenwich football, the high school football, then high school baseball. I think they both dabbled in the basketball at the high school as well. So
they did as freshmen, or Vincent did for freshman year. They were all together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you had two other kids which you supported as well, girl and a boy, that you Anthony Jr., and you had him also playing football, and you also did the volunteer work, taking pictures of him do everything, and you there was not a sideline that you were not on helping out, doing anything anybody wanted.
No, it was always fun. Me and my wife always went different ways, where it was football or travel baseball, and she would go with my daughter for cheerleading or dance competitions, and we'd be like, we'll see each other on Sunday night because we, travel out of state or whatever. But it was always a lot of fun, and it was worth it, coaching the kids. And, nowadays I go into a CVS or a supermarket and kids come up to me and say, hey, Coach Ferraro. And it's like, wait a minute, let me guess who you are, because you've grown so much. And they're men. Some of them are taller. One time this summer, we were at the new, what is it called in Oak Greenwich Social Club. And kids are there. They're now legal now to drink, and I'm buying them drinks to say, it was great times, and they're taller than me. So it's just amazing how the time goes and which great memories they have. And they always loved coming here for Monday night game film night. And I would have I have a 120-inch screen, and the kids would come to review their game film, and I'd have a laser pointer, saying, hey, this is good, this is bad. But they just had a blast having pizza here and just enjoying themselves. And they say to me, Coach Ferraro, those are the best times coming to your house on Monday night, because I'd have 24 to 28 kids downstairs going crazy. But then they would listen. I'd get some of my coaches, and one of my coaches, Billy Larkin, was an officer for the town of Greenwich. So Bill would sometimes be in his uniform because, he was either going on duty or coming off duty. So it was great, having those.
We have to point out in that same topic of some great permanent thing you've done for our town, and you put so much of you and your effort, your energy into creating the Gators. You realized there was a need in our town for something else, another team. There was 5 teams already, and
really, because I'm from Coscob, my kids were Coscob Crushers. But then president was Mike Dunster of the GYFL, and him and a bunch of their board members kept coming to me and like, listen, there's too many kids on a wait list. There were 45 Bantam players not able to play on a team, and they wanted to place them somewhere, and they kept bugging me. I'm like, dude, I'm from Coscob. I'm not, wherever. And then they started getting in my ear and telling me that, hey, you could pick the colors, you can name your team, but we need it in really Riverside needs the program. And I'm like, I could be anything. And I was always a Miami Hurricane fan. So I'm like, I could have orange and green. They're like, you could have orange, green, and white. Not a problem. So, but I couldn't put a U on for the University of Miami. So I had to have something fun for the kids. So it was either going to be the Riverside Rams or the Riverside Gators. And we decided we could have more fun with logos with the Gator on it. And then we had like Chili Bear design it a little different, so we wouldn't have any copy infringements or anything on the Gator. So that's how it all started. And me and another buddy, Charlie Pirro from Coscob, helped me start it. And we got another coach, Frank Sarcone. So we had coaches all in place, and we had all the misfit kids, and we turned around, and within 2 years we were in the playoffs and winning championships. So it was a lot of fun.
Well, that's that. I mean, that in itself, you could look back and be proud of that, and you should be proud of that because basically that builds the structure of the town, like we talked about with Bob about doing his volunteer work and taking pictures at various charity events. You've contributed to the town in a less active way in your photography and your volunteer work, but in such a memorable, active way in creating a program that could continue forever because the success of the Greenwich High School football team is based on the youth program.
Right.
You made a key component into that youth program. How many of the kids that went through the Gator program starred in the Greenwich High School team?
Quite a bit, not just starred, but we're captains too. And one coming up is Tyler Cusimano, who's one of my captains now, will be a captain this year for the season, which is awesome. But, it was just great, because the kids that we would get would be sometimes overflow. I would have Parkway School kids. I would have North Street schools, and we would get to practice at Coscop School, centrally located, so that kids from Riverside could come. The majority were from Riverside OG, North Miami area, but we had kids from all over, so that's what really made it great. And they kind of met each other. Then whether they went to the same middle school, but at the high school, they were all together, and they were, still friends and stuff. So that was always good.
Is that why you hired the cop to bring all the kids into your video session?
No, a lot of these coaches,
400-inch TV.
Yeah, those only 120 inch, but it was great. But it's just, I have a great room, and it's just awesome for them. And then when the parents would come pick up, because I'm on a dead end road, there were kids like running around. You know how it is to try to get 24 kids to wait for their parents to come pick up. But the road was just packed, so it was just a lot of fun. And my wife loved it, and she didn't mind it. She would get the vacuum out, pick up any drop food off the floor and stuff like that. But
your wife is great. She's like a second mother to my son, so we all know that. Vince was always welcome over here. He was here as much as he was over there, certainly, especially in the summertime. He was certainly over here a lot, and those guys had a great time together. Vince went off to play professional football, didn't he?
Yes, he did. So he stood out at St. Lawrence University all 4 years, started as a freshman, has 3 school records there. And then he started getting recruited by some teams in Germany and Italy. And he's like, Dad, I don't want to do it. I've been playing football since 3rd grade. And I'm like, listen, you're going to work your whole life. This is an opportunity you shouldn't pass. But he didn't really listen to the old man. He wanted to listen to the coaches and his friends to say, hey, you're going to Italy. You're going to find all these girls, and, you're going to have a great time. And he absolutely loved it. And he started there, and he did it for 2 years. But then with the pandemic, they had to come. He's like, get me out of here, because in Italy it was true, home. You could only go out to go shopping or to the pharmacy on certain days. Other than that, you were locked down in your apartment, and they gave him an apartment, a car. It was just great. €1,000 a month.
Great story. You traveled the world. You visit another country. You spend a couple of years there, and you have a bunch of friends. You play games for a living.
Exactly.
That's
exactly.
Cool.
And we went to visit him 3 times one year, which was awesome.
Of course.
And then he came back and he's like, Dad, I'm done. I'm like, all right, you did it for 2 years, and you're healthy.
Perfect. And he stops by here when he's home visiting Joe. He got us for a little while at the house. It's all good. Now, Anthony, tell me, well, you know what? First of all, aren't you the only guy in the history of Greenwich High School to actually win the high school state championship?
Well, I was number one.
Is that true?
We were number 1 in 81. We went 12-1, won the FCAC title, and we won the state championship with our legendary coach, Mike Ornato, who instilled so many beliefs for so many of us to be coaching in the GYFL and at the high school level, like Anthony Morello, Andre Jackson, all those guys. They're all products of Coach Mike Ornato, which is, amazing. And Joe, we loved it so much that I even have our state championship plaque right now.
You just happened to have the state championship.
I just happen to have it. Wait, where is it? Maybe I should back up a little bit.
No, it looks good.
Oh, there it is. 1981 state champions.
Oh, that's excellent. 1981 state champions. That is way cool.
Plaque.
That's a beautiful plaque. And you're very proud of that, as you should be.
We all are. And one of my good buddies who I grew up with and played when I was a Coscop Crusher, which was then called the St. Lawrence Giants. We were still the same green and yellow Green Bay Packer colors. Frank Aventino, who was a captain at Greenwich High too, and we were captain at Central. Because when we went to Central Middle School, it was a junior high. So elementary was 6, junior high was 7, 8, 9. So we had competition football at 8th and 9th grade where we were playing the Westport schools, Darien, and all that stuff. So me and Frank were together. We lived on the same street, and we talk like once a week. He's out in California, and he asks, watches my games, my son's games from here or in Italy. Still, he's a big football fanatic. Yeah, he just was a big supporter. But yeah,
excellent. Now, what are you involved in now? What are you up to now? What kind of?
So right now, as things football, my youngest just graduated St. Lawrence University. So my wife and I were like, what are we going to do this fall or the next spring? With no baseball or football to go to. And it's just like, what are we doing? But what I also do is I was just recently elected to my Italian club in Stamford, the Gravinese Mutual Aid Society, who helps out a lot of causes and our own members that need help. So way back, this started like 100 years. We just had our April 11th birthday in 1921 it was, and we're having our dinner dance. We pushed it till October to do it during Columbus Day. But we have a big golf fundraiser going on, which we do tuition assistance. One year we gave out $12,000 in scholarships. So we do that well. We do it up at Sterling Farms, and we're close to being sold out right now with golfers, and we're still getting in all these hole signs and, banners and stuff like that. So, my free time, I'm busy with the Gravinese Society and trying to make things successful for them.
It's strange the Italian club didn't call Joe Kelly and invite him.
Yes.
I don't understand that.
Yes.
I like meatballs and spaghetti. Come on.
Yeah, I know. And we all like corned beef and cabbage.
Exactly. On a certain day of the year. So, Anthony, it was a pleasure having you on the show. I know we've been chasing you up for a while. It's hard to, I guess it's hard. People have lots of things going on in their lives, but when we could tie it in, it's always good to get people on the show. People usually like the experience. Usually you'll have about a crew of paparazzi outside your home tomorrow. And they'll be looking to take pictures of you. Same with you, Bob. The paparazzi should be there tomorrow because now you guys are famous celebrities because you're on the Joe Kelly Good News Show. What do you think about that, Tim?
It sounds great. These two guys are recording all the history in Greenwich. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, thank you.
It's fantastic that the photography is great. As I said, although Anthony's lens is bigger, it usually is, right? So you have to remember, we do have to point that out. Bob, what do you have to say about that?
Good for Anthony.
Well, I'm a nice 400 millimeter, which makes great action shots. So you gotta catch
I've got quite a camera collection myself, Joe.
I see that.
So I'm a little bit of a camera buff, but not to the level, not the talent that these guys have. But I do love photography. Very.
It's like they tell a story right there. I mean, it really has some history.
That's when I started in 3rd grade. I got my first camera. It was a beautiful thing. So
what was that? What kind of camera? A Kodak?
It was actually this one, the Polaroid. This Polaroid.
Oh, the Polaroid
camera. Yeah,
okay.
I got that one. Fished it out from a yard sale.
Yeah,
I said I have to have a camera, and so that's when it started. But this little one is one of the box brownies. It's a box brownie, and that was my mom's first camera.
Wow.
So yeah, exciting stuff. I love photography.
Right. I started photography at Greenwich High School, as Bob did as well, or my high school, and I had a great instructor, and it really was fascinating. And we used to sometimes skip school and go down to the Yankee afternoon games, and I'm taking pictures of Reggie Jackson and all these great players, and blowing them up for free at the school with black and white, and they were just Mickey Rivers, all these guys that were just legends for the Yankees. So that's when I started really liking taking sports and obviously catching it for the kids, and always posting them and letting them download them for free. I never sold a photo in my life. I just give them out for free because, when I played sports, they didn't take that many pictures. You have a couple here and there, but, and thank God, one of the pictures that I have from way back was my first interception at Norwalk. And that's just where Coach Arnado called me the Hawk. He said I swooped up like a hawk during the film room. So, but somebody photographed that, and I have it, and it is colored. So I love having, photos, and, it's just great. And I always created, Shutterfly sites. So anyone from the Gator kids or from the high school kids for football, baseball, whatever, would come. And then some of the kids at the high school where I was going to shoot, girls field hockey games and stuff like that. And getting them all out, which I don't mind. If I'm there, let's do it. Let them have these memories forever.
He was very generous. I know that. Very generous with the when involved with him, with all the photos you could possibly imagine. It's amazing how many he takes. Sometimes you'll see that camera smoking on the sidelines from all the photos.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you, Joe, for having us on, and I learned a lot about Tim and Bob, and this is a great show, and I've watched it a bunch of times, and I'm really honored to be on it.
Oh, thank you very much, and thank you for being on it. I do appreciate it.
Okay.
All right, guys. Thanks very much. I appreciate it. Tim likes to keep us to about just over a half hour, so we reached that mark. So, Tim, thanks very much. Bob and Anthony, thank you very much. We'll see you guys around town.
All right, Joe. Take care. Bye, guys. Bye, Merlin.